This tablet is such a piece of crap, man. I'm not able to undo taking apart a capacitor, so instead of having to restart the video, I have to make a part 2, and I absolutely hate making part 2s. Why do I hate making part 2s? Because no one ever freaking watches the whole thing. It's always, like, I'll tell you a million times, go watch part 1, go watch part 1, go watch part 1, go watch part 1. And, yeah, it doesn't freaking matter. You guys, for some reason, still all watch part 2, and none of you watch part 1. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. So, yeah, that's just a little rant about that. You guys never watch part 1 of my multi-part videos. By the way, if you're wondering what happened, an alarm went off on my tablet, and it ended the video. Sorry guys, I'm just taking this tape off of here that's holding the capacitor wrapped up. Alright, there we go. I have gotten the green tape off. And this crap is absolutely soaked in electrolyte. It's gross as brick. So there's one metal there. Alright, and here's our layers. There's a layer of cardboard, and under that layer of cardboard, separate, gosh dang it, there we go. So there's that layer of cardboard, then there's that layer of that metal, then there's another layer of cardboard, and there's a layer of a different metal. One metal is a lot thinner and shinier and more delicate than the other. And yeah. So one terminal is connected to one metal, and the other terminal is connected to the other metal. Here are the terminals. As you can see, they are connected to one to each metal. And there we go, I've taken the terminals off. Now let's continue to unwrap this thing. This is very, very long. There is a whole lot of this stuff in here. Frick, I'm honestly not sure if this is cardboard anymore. Now that I think of it, I think it's a layer of tiny plastic. Here's a big thing of that plastic stuff. Here's one metal. This is the thicker, less shiny metal. As you can see, there's still some of it unwrapped down here. Yeah, there is a lot of this crap here. Here's the other metal. Now let's continue to unwrap this other part here. Here's some more of the thin metal. there's some more of the other metal. The thick metal. And there we go. We have completely taken apart this capacitor here. As you can see, this thing is really freaking long. What in the world just happened there? This is really being a piece of crap with me. Just unfold and stay unfolded. As you can see, this thing is very long. There's a whole lot of this metal in here. Same length for all of the things. Well, I guess there's double the length for this stuff, because, you know, there's 2 layers of it. Yeah, now we got some more capacitor metal. And yeah, that's what's inside an electrolytic capacitor. There's a whole lot of metal in there. So I would have actually had 2 of those big 10,000 microfarad ones. But the reason I only have 1 is because the other one was blown. And that's the reason that the device they were in stopped working in the first place. That capacitor blew, and that sucks. Because those are the biggest capacitors I've ever seen, and one of them was blown. The thing I explained in part 1 happened to it. The top, it got pressurized, and the top poofed open, and it sprayed crap everywhere. I'm just trying to shake the water out of this thing. My hands smell like electrolyte. But yeah, oh, something I didn't explain in part 1 that I was going to, that one I just took apart there had that plastic thingy over top of those lines at the top. Most capacitors do not have that black thing, that black plastic piece, but the high power ones do. So that 75 volt one, that 10,000 microfarad one that I've been talking about, and that 200 volt one, those both have those plastic covers on the top, and that's because they're very, very high voltage, and that top part is usually just bare metal of the capacitor. And if that's bare metal of the capacitor, that means there's 75 volts going through that metal, and if something touches it, it's ruined. And if you touch it, you're gonna freaking die. So they put a plastic covering over the really, really high power ones to save you and your device. And yeah, so I'll be right back. I've got my components box once again. Frick, you see this in my videos as often as you see me. Yeah, in almost all of my videos, I do at least one thing with my component box. But yeah, I have rearranged it and changed it a bit. I'm gonna turn that big light on. There's wires here. So, I've got this big LED system hooked up. We hooked it up for Christmas one year, and we just haven't taken them down for years and years. They've basically just become the main light source of this when this is off. So like the main nighttime light source. And it's hooked up to this extension cord here. And then this plug plugs in those big ones. I plug it into the extension cord and there we go. So yeah, that's that. This is going to be difficult. Maybe. I think. I'm trying to get it by... Oh, frick. I can't talk. Man, I'm trying to get a, good angle where you're able to look down into the components box. Here we go. That didn't really change much, did it? Well, yeah. So, the LED section down here. So, miscellaneous crap. So this can be for LEDs of a different voltage than 3 volts. Like this little red one here. This is a special shaped one. It looks much like that color LED I had, where the machine is like right on the lens, so it's very, very wide. 180-degree light, and it's red. It is a red light, and it's in miscellaneous because it's a 2-volt LED. Same with this one. This red is in the miscellaneous because it's a 2-volt. This bicolor LED is in the miscellaneous because obviously you can't sort it by color because it's 2 colors. These are sorted by color. Miscellaneous, whites, yellows and oranges, blues, greens, reds. And this red, once again, it's 2 volts, so it's in the miscellaneous. Most of the miscellaneous LEDs are these warm white omnidirectional LEDs. They're because they've got a resistor on them, so they can run on 6 volts. Most of my warm whites are in the white section. They do not have a resistor, and they're 3 volts. And yeah. Well, there's also that little teeny tiny little halogen. And 12-volt little halogen bulb. But yeah, so I have rearranged a few things in here. I rearranged the colors of the LEDs a little bit. The yellows and oranges and blues were like swapped. And as you can see, the capacitors are much different. They're all right small now. That's because they're all either 6.3 volts or 10 volts. These ones, these nice dark purple ones with the golden letters and stuff, are off of a computer motherboard of that HP Pavilion A320N I took apart. Right here is just metal crap. As you can see, I've got some capacitor metal in here. I use that for making battery connections better, and I make these little squares out of them. Or out of it, I mean. Right here is resistors. I've got 2 identical ones here. These are both 100 ohms. As you can see, one of them has a lot more like black. It looks like it's been burnt. That's because in a different video, I put a lot of... I don't think I uploaded that video, actually. I put a whole lot of electricity through it, and it made it red hot. But it still works. 330 ohm. Oh, by the way, I use these 100 ohm ones to power 2-volt LEDs with 2 batteries, which is 3 volts. This is also 100 ohms, but it's very tiny. These are only going to be here for a little bit. Well, this one is, at least. Little tiny motors and propellers. These 4 motors and these 4 propellers are out of that mini drone. That little tiny one I showed you in my video telling you not to buy mini drones. I took that little guy apart. And I got those motors out of it. And the battery. And now I've got a little battery to power these things with. Diode-related stuff, so diodes themselves. Transistor, and a legit freaking rectifier. It's an entire rectifier built in as a single component. Well, not an entire rectifier, but a diode bridge. If I put a capacitor onto it, then it would be a rectifier. And this is switches, so this is normal switch. Has wires and it's all wrapped up. Most of these are buttons though. And in here is miscellaneous other crap. Electromagnet and a fuse. And yeah, that's the crap of my components box. And why I brought this out is because, as you can see, these capacitors, they don't have that plastic thing on the top. Hold on. Alright, I'm back. But yeah, this big one, as you can see, it's got that plastic thing at the top. This little tiny dot, it's just so small compared to this one. But yeah, it's just got, it doesn't have that plastic thing. None of these have those plastic things. And yeah, so with some, like on this circuit board here, not sure what the circuit board was for. It probably says on it. Tape PCB. Not sure what that means, but I'm guessing tape. I'm guessing it was out of a tape recorder, cassette recorder. But yeah, as you can see, these capacitors, they don't have those little lines on them. They're just plain metal circles. These are the ones that'll go bang when you overvolt them. But yeah. Oh, well. As you can see, this will not fit anywhere in here. It's way too big to fit in this part here, even without the capacitors in there. It's too wide to fit in there. And it's way too big to fit in any of these as well. So obviously this can't go in there. Hey guys, I'm back. So these are all my other capacitors that are not 10 volts or less. Well, these aren't capacitors, but this is the thin metal and this is the thick metal out of the other one of these. Yeah, this is how much of that crap there is in there. I swear there's like 3 meters of this crap in here. 3 meters each. And yeah, there's a lot of that metal in there. And as you can see, I taped it so it would stay rolled up. Yeah, these are all my other capacitors. This one here is the other 200 volt 470. Ew. These make like tinging noises because they're metal. Interesting. I did not know that. But yeah, and this one is also a 200 volt 470 microfarad, but it's shaped a little bit differently. It's a little smaller. It's just a little smaller. Both of those capacitors there, those 470s, were taken out of a power supply of a computer. This little tiny one, 16 volts, 1000 microfarads. This is really tiny for that size. That's actually not bad. These ones are huge. But yeah, these are all my other capacitors. And I'm gonna kind of show you an example. So I've got this little adapter thing here. This motor. I used this motor, you probably remember. I cranked up the power that LED. Excuse me. Right. Alright, now which one's the positive? this one's positive. Activate. Click. And there we go. No, don't short. Frick. I killed the capacitor. Capacitors, herp subsitter. Am I even getting power? It doesn't look like I am. Oh, yes, I am. I hear it. I hear the thing clicking. But I have just charged up this little tiny capacitor here. And it only powers it for a quick little... So I'm going to take this big one. It's 10 times the capacity. Powers it way more. But yeah. That other little one, it just went... This one, it was... So yeah. I have no clue where the little hand crank thingy went. I don't know what happened to that. I took it off, and I don't know where I put it. Yeah, no clue what happened to that. But yeah, there's playing with capacitors for a huge amount of time. Took way longer than I thought it would have. For freak's sake. But yeah, that's that. Goodbye.